Hello everyone, and welcome to Janet's Craft Corner. Today we're going to be making the Spring Tulips insert for the multiple insert bases for the truck and the door hangers and the breadboards. And I'm going to do this a little bit differently than normal, and I'm going to show you two ways to do this file. I always say you can do it however you want to make it match your decor. Well, I'm going to kind of show you that with this file. I've already got it done once, so first of all, let's look at how I've already got it done. This is it done in a very neutral, light style. It's the stain background here, and the little birdie is stained as well as the bloom words. It's got white for our letters, and then a really pretty coral for our tulips, keeping it nice and neutral in coloring. And then we're going to make one that is bright and colorful. In this one, I'm also going to make a garland, so got it all spread out here for me already on my tape board, ready to go, and I've got my paints all up here. So we're just going to get started, and as we go, you'll see what colors are going to kind of be what we're going to do. We're going to start with white because our tailgate is going to be white. So I'm going to start by working on that piece. And the tailgate has, I guess, shiplap stripes in it, for lack of a better term for them, but it has the stripes going across. So first of all, we're going to paint it across, trying to keep our brush always going in the same direction as the stripes, so that the paint doesn't get as much of a chance to sit down into those individual scoring marks. And then we're going to use, after the paint dries quite a bit, we're going to use our X-Acto knife to clear out those painted pieces, those painted stripes. A little bit unusual to what I usually do with white. I'm not worried about getting a really strong white coat here. I'm kind of going for a little bit of a more rustic look on the white, so I'm okay with it showing through in a few of the areas where you can still see a little bit of the wood through it. So I think that's going to be good. I want to make sure I don't have any fingerprints off to those edges. So set this across here to dry. Not to make a total mess what we're doing. Okay, and then we're going to do, let's do the leaves on all of our various tulips, the stems and leaves. So we're going to do that in this Wedgewood Green. I really liked the way those turned out on that neutral, so I'm going to stick with that color. When I did some of these tulip pieces earlier, I used a brighter green for that. I didn't like it as well. There is a line there that shows us where we're going to paint up to. We can paint a little bit over that line if we want. In this case, not on a couple of these others, but on this piece we can, because the tulips are an extra piece on top. You'll notice as I'm going down through here, I'm turning my brush in a variety of directions so that I'm trying to go off of my board rather than onto it. That's kind of why I'm turning it as I go on these various leaves. And that's definitely going to need a second coat, but we'll come back and get that in just a little bit. We've got a few leaves to do over on these other pieces, so we'll go over there first and then we'll come back and do these assemblies. So all of the three tulips that I have for the garland the potted tulips need to have it, and again, you're just going to go to the base of that tulip here. You don't want to go up too far. These do not have the advantage of having another piece go on them. And then to the top of the pot. Kind of cheated on when I made my tape board. If you'll notice, there are little dollops of paint along here. Did that so I can tell what color things are supposed to be, because I forget. Okay, now we're just going to go back through. I need to actually get me a little bit more paint. I didn't get enough out. That's unusual for me. But then we're just going to go back through and paint all of that again, because I didn't get a good enough, or it's not covering in one coat, so I'm going to go back and give it all a second coat. So there, I think I have all the green done. And now we're going to move on to, looks like Terra Cotta. Okay, so now then the Terra Cotta, all we're doing on this is these 3 Terra Cotta pots. Let's just get a little brush here and see if we can't get them done. The only place we have to really be careful on these is where we're going off along these edges. Okay, and there we go. That's all of that color. Okay, so then now we're going to just start on our multiple colors all along our edges. And I'm actually going to start with this light pink down here because I'm going to do a gradient with it and the blue, and so I need to let it dry before the blue comes into it. have several tulips to do in it, as well as a letter and part of a butterfly. So we're going to do our tulips first because we're going to do those with a brush. The letter and the butterfly I'm actually going to do with using the sponge technique. And I'm not really worrying too much about my scoring because I'll just use an X-Acto knife to clear that score line. It's just one line, so it's not hard to clear with the X-Acto knife. Okay, that takes care of the brush parts of that, and then I need to get me a sponge, and here's one, so we'll just use this one. I need to cut some more, looks like. Okay, the easy part is the end, so we're just going to do it. The advantage of the sponge, if you do it right, if you keep it very lightly loaded and you keep very light pressure, is it doesn't go down on your edges. So you don't have as much cleanup to do, you know, especially with these thin areas where there's just no way to get the brush to go up and down those cleanly. The disadvantage to the sponge is it's hard to get a solid line between two colors. So if you've got a piece that has multiple colors on it, such as the tulips that had a green leaf and then the tulip head, it's just really hard to get the sponge to make that line between those two pieces clear. So, and then the other good thing for a sponge is to do a gradient, and I'm going to show you how to do that. On this one, I want to do a gradient where I'm pink on the inside and kind of that light blue that I'm going to use on the outside. So I'm just going to do my inside here, and I'm going over a little bit where the black's going to end up going because I don't care. I'll put the black over it and it'll be fine. And then I'm going past the point where I want the pink to end so that I don't have to worry about my edge when I do the blue. And I want the pink to be on the inside and the blue on the outside edge of his wings. So that's our pink, light pink. So then we're going to do our dark pink, and it's going to be all sponge work because it's a letter and then the word bloom that goes on our license plate is where that goes. Okay, you having trouble getting paint out? Especially when you're using the sponge technique, it really doesn't take much paint because you're trying really hard to keep the paint unloaded. Keep just a little bit of paint on your sponge and keep your pressure light. Oh, let's get me another sponge out here so I can have some sponge pieces to work with. We're going to do our light green up here. And our kind of our light green here, we're just the one letter, looks like. So we'll just do that right here. Again, we're using the sponge technique, and I'm keeping my, you can hear the bounce to it. I'm keeping my touch very light as I go along this, and keeping the amount of paint on my sponge very light also, very much unloaded, as you might say. That means you need to go over it a few more times as you go, and I just go back and forth as I'm going. That's good enough. But it means you don't have to worry about your edges and touching them up. So it's worth that extra little bit of time. Okay, and on our yellow, we're going to have to use both the sponge and the brush. So we're going to use the sponge on our P here, but I think we'll do the brush on the rest of these pieces. So I'm just going to use the sponge here. Okay, and then we're going to get a brush and do our 2 tulips and our, I guess 3 tulips and our license plate. For a yellow, this is actually covering really, really well. I'm pleased with that. And as you can see, it's coming back to these that I did, I'm getting a little bit of a light second coat on them. Okay, and then we're going to do our lavender, and again we're going to just do 3 tulips. Okay, and then last but not least is our blue, and we're going to do our bird, our R, and that part of our butterfly there. So we're going to start with the brush portions, and that's the bird and his wing. I want to leave his beak. I should have gotten it with the yellow, but I'll just get it with a marker a little bit. He also has an eye, which I will get with a black marker. I get a good first coat on here because I think I can get by without a second coat if I get a nice, good, clean first coat on it. Get us a sponge going on our blue here. Again, keep it unloaded. And we're going to do a butterfly first, and we're going to just come up so that we're right along that edge where we're at the pink, and then we'll get our outside edge well. But we want to just kind of dust up along that pink so that there's not a solid line that goes across there. It's just kind of a blend, and that's the advantage of the sponge. It gives you the opportunity to do that. It gives you the opportunity to do that kind of blend along there that you can get without having a hard line. That's what I'm trying to do here. And then our R. And that is all of the regular painting. I'm going to use the markers on a couple of spots. So let's get our markers out. Okay, so we're going to do a couple things with our markers. First of all, I'm going to just fill in his little eye. Minor little circle here. That is not something I would ever do with a brush. And then I'm actually going to use one of my thicker markers, and I'm going to go ahead and do the body of the butterfly with the marker, just because I don't need black paint for anything else. So I'm not going to get a brush out and I'll just use a marker for it. The acrylic markers turn out just as good as the paint, so it's not a big deal which one you do. It does go on, in my opinion at least, a little thicker than the paint, and it takes a little longer to dry than the paint, so I'm going to let it dry good before we move that piece. And then our bird has a little beak that needs to be given some yellow here. And I could have done that when I was painting my yellow up there, except I missed it. So we'll just use a marker. Okay, so that is all of our pieces, all of our paintings. Now we need to use our X-Acto knife and go back and kind of clear out some of our pathways. And this is not real important, and they're definitely not real thick. You know, they're not, I don't have mine, my paint didn't go down in them bad, but there's a little bit of paint down in them. So I just want to make sure there's a little definition there, because that's what gives the tulip, that makes it look like 3 petals rather than one big glob. Okay, now that we've got all of our painting done, we're going to pull our pieces back out here. We're going to get our 3 base pieces, and we're going to just start putting things together. And it feels like everything's pretty dry. So that one's the easy one. The bloom just goes on it. And then we need our tulips. It looks like our pink ones are our big ones. So our pink and yellow out here. And then pink. Purple, pink again, and our final yellow one up here. Put our little butterfly, and I'm going to be a little careful and not touch the black area of him. Just make sure that marker area is dry. Let's put him about there. Yeah, I think that works. And then our little birdie, we'll put him over here. You just want to make sure that he is above this line here so that he doesn't catch on the truck or on whatever base you're using. Okay, and then our letters. And I'm spacing them way too far apart here. This is why you lay them out before you glue them. And then these 3 are just going to make a little garland. So as you can see, we've done it here now in a very colorful way, or I'll bring our other one back out here so you can see the differences. A nice neutral version. So you can do it either way you want and make it match your decor. You can do it, you know, you could do a neutral version with all yellow tulips if you wanted, or whatever works for your decor. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I look forward to seeing you next time.